one of my new Cervena Fox t-shirts. And what I'm going to show you guys today is how I can make this t-shirt, which is unisex, but make into a really, really nice halter neck top. So I've had a lot of people request to ask me how I actually do this. So today, I thought I would show you using my new top. Oh my God. But okay, so I've been doing this for a really long time. I have been doing this to all my band t-shirts, everything. So the way that I start off is there's always like a half part that you can actually do with this t-shirt. So basically what you have to do is you have to cut off the shoulders and you have to cut off the neck piece. Now, if you want to just make it into a simple tank top, and this is for guys and women, you can cut on the outside here. And what that will do is keep the shape of the t-shirt, and then all you do is cut around here. The only problem with that is that then the seam is great because, I mean, not the problem, but the great thing about that is the seam will stay there. So it means that it won't break anymore and it won't start to kind of curl over, because that's why the hemline is great at the bottom here, because it stops it from curling. So I always say, if you don't want it to curl, don't cut the hem off. With a tank top, some people like to have low ones, so they like it being a lower tank, so it shows off either tattoos or it's just a bit more of kind of a breezy tank top. So some people cut, and if you're going to keep it breezy, you can cut about here. I always say like at least 1 centimeter away, go all the way down, and then you kind of stop about here. You always want to stop off at the halfway point, and that's if you want to make it into a cool tank top there. You do that both sides, and then you cut around here. You can cut it smaller if you don't want too much of like a neck, or you cut all the way around to make it quite in there. And a great trick is that with the excess hem, cut that in half, pull this over, and you tie that in and tie a knot. And what that will do is pull that together and make it more into a tank top there. But what I'm going to show you guys today is just a standard halter neck top with this. So what I'm going to first start off with is you cut off the arms. So with this one, I can cut along the outside because I'm not going to be using the sleeves at all. So you start cutting, always cut one side. You don't want to just go straight in there and cut it completely off. Get really sharp scissors. So these ones I got from Joann Fabrics. They were only about $15, but you want the sharpest scissors, sharpest scissors you possibly can have, because that's definitely going to help you. You can't just use some ordinary kitchen scissors. It doesn't work. Well, it does, but it makes it ever so difficult. So as I'm going round, you always make sure you're about 1/2 centimeter away on that, because we want to try save as much fabric as we can for the halter neck. If you were doing the tank top, at least 1 centimeter. So I'm going all the way around. God, it's killing me doing this to one of my new t-shirts. It's gonna look so fab. Okay, so then when you meet it all the way back there, you have the excess, throw that to the side. So as you can see, that is one part off, okay? So now I'm just gonna move onto the other arm. So I just cut all the way down, because we're not using this bit at all. Always be careful that you're not going to be cutting the other side, okay? So that's why I always make sure my fingers are underneath. So then as I'm chopping away, I can feel that I'm not at all getting the under bit of the t-shirt, because that's where holes will come in. So the style of halter neck that I am going to be doing, you do not want to do it with any kind of writing on the back. I mean, if you want to, go for it, but with the style that I'm doing, it just doesn't work with a t-shirt that has writing on the back, because it will completely and utterly muddle it up. There are many other forms of styles of tops you can make with writing on the back. Maybe I'll do that in another tutorial on YouTube and show you guys how I would cut a t-shirt like that. Okay, so now that I have the t-shirts, the sleeves cut off, this is what it looks like. So some people like to just do this. So they like to just have it so the sleeves are cut off and then they leave this and it's just a regular tank top. Now I'll show you the next part is to cut the neck. Now you want to be careful with the neck. So what I do is I always make sure my t-shirt is completely flat. If you need to iron it, do so. It really will help right now. This time I actually hold it completely down, and what I'm going to do is go through here and I'm going to go around. If you want to make it V, try to find the middle of the t-shirt. So if you're going to V it, fold the t-shirt in half and then you just kind of like squeeze the middle part and then iron and then open it up and you're going to find where the middle point is. I'm going to make it circular, so I'm not going to do the V part, but that is how you do a V neck style. So what I'm going to do, fingers underneath again, you chop. So I'm just going to go all the way down and you're going to oval it, okay? So what I like to do sometimes is just turn that bit over and it kind of helps to then find which way you're then meant to go. So if I turn this way, so make sure this is completely and utterly the same, so it looks like it goes all the way around like that. Pick it up and you start turning it around. So there we are. So that made a perfect circle just for where the neckline is. And with this, you carry on going all the way up. And then you go to the back of the neck. Being careful of this part, I always put that in my hand and push it down. So we don't need it saying that. Okay, then we're back of the neck. Turn it around, make sure your hands are always there so you can find out where you're going to. And ta-da! There we go. Okay, so now we're on to this part. So some people like to, so what I was saying earlier, some people like to just keep it to this part. Okay, so this is just a standard tank top and it kind of makes it cool, it makes it more kind of free without having the hems in there. And what I was talking about earlier, I'll show you now, but I'm not actually going to keep it like that, is some people get the scraps and they chop it in half. And then what they do is they pick up here. And then what they'll do is tie a knot. And then when you have that, obviously make it neater and then cut off the excess, is then it kind of scrunches up the shoulders. I would say this is more of a woman way to wear things. I would say definitely the man way would keep it as it was, but some women like to make it so it's kind of really nice and tight at the top there. So basically it will look like this on the top of your shoulders, which does look really, really nice. I like doing that to a lot of my band tops, and this is especially if you have writing on the back. I would definitely keep it like this because otherwise you're going to overcomplicate it and lose a lot of the top. But we are not doing this today. We are going to be doing another way. Okay, so now that we have it in this bit, you don't need the scraps. The scraps can go in the bin. So what we're going to do is completely and utterly turn the t-shirt over to the blank side, okay? So if I was being serious, I would get a pen and draw on what I'm going to do, but I'm not, because I've done this many of times, so I don't need to draw it on. But I would recommend if this is your first time, definitely draw, okay? So what we're going to do is you're going to cut completely and utterly down the middle of the t-shirt. It doesn't really matter if you're like a millimeter off. I just kind of go with it and I just kind of like find the middle. So I'm guessing the middle is just here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going straight in. So what's left if you don't take a chance? And making sure that you're only doing one side. Do not do the other side. Just be very careful. Make sure you get your fingers underneath there and that you're not actually going to be cutting the other side of the t-shirt, otherwise you're screwed. You have to start all over again. Okay, so now the t-shirt is completely and utterly in half. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fold it back to the way it was. Don't move it, like leave it just the way it was. Okay, so I'm just gonna move the inside bits in just so I can definitely make sure it is in exactly the same spot. Okay, and where the bottom of the armpit area would be, you are going to cut along there. So this is why I like doing it on a shiny surface like this, because you can literally lift the top. Well, I say it, but it doesn't look as easy, and you can move it like so. So it's best to do it on this kind of material surface. If you do it on carpet, it can be a little bit difficult on that, but if you're pro, you got it. Don't doubt yourself. So find where the bottom of the armpit is, and what you're gonna do is simply cut straight across. Making sure every cut you do, you're not cutting the other side of the t-shirt. Okay, and then that bit you can lift up. Okay, so I'm gonna move the scraps again. So, okay, making sure it's completely and utterly level there. I'm going to cut all the way down. Okay, and then lift that part up. Okay, so this is looking pretty damn good. What I'm gonna do is pull the t-shirt. So this is the neck area and this is the armpits. What you're gonna do here, we're gonna V it, okay? So we want these two to go into points at the ends. You don't want it too thick. So what I'm gonna suggest you doing, that you do, is to just get the edge like so and start bringing it up ever so slim to the side. Go all the way down to the end. And this is why sharp scissors makes it a lot easier, because then you can make it beautiful, like a really good sharp line. So I'm gonna move around to this side. And then what I'm gonna do is gonna V it there, okay? So this is where we're gonna tie behind the neck. So then you come across. So now you can see we're going to change a little bit of the neckline, but it's okay. I'll make sure we do that. And the great thing about this is if you find out you've just got too much material, you can just cut it again and make that V a little bit smaller if you wish. But I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so same thing again. But the way we can make it perfect is to flip this part over. Try not to move too much of the t-shirt at the same time. So I'm going to place that part on there, making sure the armpits both meet. So that's about right. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to trim this little edge. Got to come around here. You'll see the fabric will start to curl when you do this, because it doesn't have the hemline, but I like it. Once you wash it, it totally makes it look so retro. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make sure that I hold the point there. What I'm going to do is go down. So that bit is done. And then we're going to come back over here. The other thing as well is some people like to draw on the t-shirts so they know exactly where they're going. I think that's also, it's a little bit annoying because sometimes it doesn't come off easy. Even if you get those fabric pens or like crayons or whatever they use for them, or chalk, I think it's called. You have to like wash the t-shirt. I sometimes like wearing the t-shirt before I wash it because then it's like brand new. But yeah, I just don't like doing that. I just go for it because I mean, you know, you can make shit look cool regardless of how fucked up it comes. You can always tie it here, there, everywhere, and it looks cool. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got this part, okay? And that's the part that's gonna tie around the neck like that. Some people don't like these bits, okay, because it does stick out a little bit. The way that, if you don't like this, just cut it smaller, like cut it thinner. So if I was wearing this, I would cut this just a tad more. Just so you can make this part as thin as possible. Everyone likes to do it differently. Okay, that looks about right to me. So always test it by bringing it over. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so now we're going to work onto the back of the top. So we're going to leave these bits going off at the edge. Okay, so depending on how tight you want to make it on the body, whether you want to try and make the picture as flat as possible in the front will depend on how many of these you do. So some people like only doing 5, some people like doing like 100. So this is the part where we're going to cut completely across here. And what you're going to do is then tie those bits together, and that's what tightens and makes the t-shirt grab onto, well, it's not a t-shirt anymore, but makes the fabric clench onto the body and to give the curves you have. So what I'm going to do is I tend to just freely do it. I kind of just go with it because at the end of the day, like I said, what have you got to lose? Just got to make sure they're always the same size. So I just go to the edge of the t-shirt. So as you can see, this is why you need iron to make it as flat as possible. So it looks like I've got a little bit off there, but it's okay. I'm gonna go to that line just there. And this is something you could always change later on. If you wanna make it come around a bit more, you just cut down the sides and you can just make it then clench a little bit more, okay? So I'm gonna go down this way first, and then I'm gonna spin it around, and then we will do the other side. Okay, so now that I've cut all the way down that, you've got to make sure you count them. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I need to make sure I have 11 on this side as well. The way that I kind of like go around is I basically turn the whole thing around. It's going to just look like a sheet right now, but trust me, it will make sense when I start tying it onto my friend. Okay, so what I do is I chuck these over, and what I do is I kind of just line them up just so I know exactly where to start. So I'll do a little cut, so that one's good. So I pull that to the side, and that's how you're going to know how many you have. And there we are. So right now it doesn't really look like much because it's just all of this, but I promise you, when I put it on Kristen, you're gonna see exactly why I did all this. But before I go, I just wanna show you guys, I mean, go and pop it on her, is if you put this on yourself, it's actually better if you have someone else do it. So if you've got a boyfriend, a friend, you know, loved one, it would be great if they could help you. If you find that they're touching too close together, you can go ahead, so you can see that the image actually is quite far. You can cut these a little bit further. So this is to the direct point of being under the armpit here. So it really depends, as well as it being like, this is a medium top. If it was an extra large t-shirt and you were trying to make it fit your body and you're small, then you go ahead and you will have to completely and utterly recut it. But that's the great thing, because then if you get a band t-shirt when you're at a show and they only have like say extra larges left, just fucking get it, because then you can make it fit you like this and it actually can look even better than just a t-shirt. So just a reminder, I'll pop it onto Kristen now so you guys can see what it looks like. You can do some alterations while you're there. A mannequin is always best because then you're doing it, like you can just do it yourself. I'm going to use my friend because it's a lot easier, but that's where then when you have it on yourself or the other person, you can literally cut as you go along and just kind of make them longer, so then you can tie it and make it so it's a bit more, you know, visible that you're going to have all these pieces that you're tying together. But I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so here I have my model Kristen, and what we're going to do is now attach the t-shirt onto her body. So I like to always have the front of it a little bit lower, so it does make the t-shirt a lot longer. This is just medium. Normally this would come up to about here, but I like it as well because then you can fit it around the hips. If you decide that it's way too long for you, you can go ahead and just cut completely across there. The only thing is when the hem is then taken off, it does sometimes tend to start curling, but it really depends what look you're going for. But I'm just going to attach it completely onto her body just the way it is. So if you like to turn around, and what you're going to do is you're going to start off with the top first. So this is the halter neck part. And you're going to just do a simple, nice bow on the top. Like so, okay? And then what I do is I always like to start with the back ones, okay? So the top ones especially. Don't start from the bottom because it can get a little bit confusing. Always start with the top. And just always make sure you've got the top ones and that they're the matching size. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to then unhook it. So you want to turn a tiny bit more. Just going to go ahead. What I'm going to do is actually knot it so it actually fits her body perfectly. Now, this is the top one. Some people like to cut these short, some people like to keep them long. So I'm just gonna keep them long because I like it all together. When you grab the second ones, some people like to actually then pattern these two together and then they do a knot like so, and they knot it completely like this. But some people just like to then knot it onto itself. So you have this, and then it's all kind of there like that. I like using loads of different ways. So if I was to then attach this into there, it does make it nice because then you just have this big bundle at the bottom and you can cut it and then it looks kind of like nice and patterned. It's like you're plaiting it. But I also like to leave this because then it's kind of, I don't know, I like it. It's just all there like that. So you're just going to work your way completely down, always making sure that you pick the same ones on each side. And this is, I'm doing it completely over them just so I can pick them out and they're not attached together there. And this is why it's easier to have someone else do it for you, because then it's a lot easier that then it fits to your body. If you try to do it yourself, you can do it, it just takes a little bit longer. Okay, so if you just wanted a simple t-shirt, that's where I would say to do it. So if you want to turn around, Kristen, and oh wait, one more because my name is just there, but if it was one more, then what you could do is get scissors and you would have somebody then cut underneath the image and go all the way around. But we're not going to do it to this one. We're just going to tie it like so, so it goes all the way down, which is going to kind of corset your bum. So I really like doing this to t-shirts because it kind of just gives it a new life, really. You can make it fit you so much nicer, and you can always steal your boyfriend's t-shirts or just your ex-boyfriend's and make it into your own. So you got to be careful not to miss one, otherwise you're going to screw it up. Just making sure I get every single one. Perfect. Alright, so just turn a little bit to the side. So you can see here where they're all in line there, because that's where we cut it to just underneath the armpit. Now if you decide you want to make it a little bit more kind of like coming round, like all the gaps, just get some scissors, keep it on you, and just do a tiny little bit and trim. But we're going to keep it as it is because I think it looks really, really nice. And then show the other side. Beautiful. And it looks really nice. So if you turn forward as well, it looks like a little bit of a mini dress right now, because I haven't completely cut it at the bottom, but you can cut it here. Just my recommendation is, if you do cut it here, to definitely hem it, because otherwise it's going to start rolling up. I've had that happen a lot to my t-shirts. So just make sure you leave about this much, so when you fold it and hem it, it's not going to ruin any of the picture. But I always like it as it is, because then if you have trousers or anything underneath, even if the bottom's like kind of like scrunched up like that, I still think it looks cool. And then the cool thing about the front as well, so some people don't like it. I'm just going to put your head behind. Some people don't like how it is a little baggy here. So if you don't like how baggy it is, you can either cut down there and just leave it open, so it kind of makes it more into a v-neck, or if you want, you can just get a sewing machine or just get a simple needle and just kind of like fold it in and stitch down, and what that's going to do is kind of hold it down and scrunch it in the middle there. But there we go. So this is the Cervena Fox t-shirt, custom cut.